Going on, man? How you doing?
Nothing much, man. I appreciate you and having my homie Marco locking this down, man.
All right,
By
cool,
the
cool.
by the way, bro, I gotta let you know a lot of respect from the Filipinos, bro.
All right, man. Hell yeah.
Tons of respect, dude. Like even like when we had pompadours in the early '90s.
Hell yeah.
Fuck, dog. Like your work was already like okay. There's this dude who's touring with Cypress Hill,
Yeah,
but
that's
he's
tight,
he's
man.
he's getting down with like a bunch of stuff, So it's
Shit,
cool.
yeah. I had to give it up, man. Because they talk about Chicano this, Chicano that, and they push that real heavy in interviews, right? And I go, yeah, that's a part of it for sure. That's our culture. But I go, it's not just us. We're surrounded by other people that support the artwork, that build lowriders, that know how to pop, know how to break. And those are Samoans, Filipinos. There's some crazy Puerto Ricans thrown in there, some Cuban families on the street. Like, you know, if you're Latino, you're probably called Mexican your whole life, whether
Sure.
you're Salvadorian or whatever, right? But yeah, so it's all of us together, man. A lot of Pacific Islanders that grew up in the neighborhood.
There's something about when the goddamn Portuguese and Spanish try to spice trade us and force it
Yeah,
down to where it felt like because I'm in my mid 40s, it felt like there was an understanding coming around because there was racial tension, but it
yeah,
felt like there was an understanding coming.
yeah. That everyone's got to struggle, and boy, those Spaniards and Portuguese were motherfuckers,
Yeah.
terrorizers, and yeah, it's interesting history. I'm doing a mural right now,
Uh huh.
where it's talking about the Cortez shoe, but I put an Aztec pyramid, and I put the Spaniards coming over on the boat. It's a real interesting, rich history.
Well, I think also not to be all old Asian guy, but a lot of kids won't realize the irony of Cortez
Mm,
ruining the Aztecs.
yeah,
And then even at the doc, like the way that shoe, the complete irony behind it, that could have been like a 30-minute doc on its own on because you
yeah,
love Cortez, but then you're designing on top of the Cortez, representing the Mexican and Mexican American culture.
yeah. I didn't start thinking about it until I was designing the shoe, and I started looking up the name and tripping, and I was like, "Fuck, man," But regardless of how I feel about it, it is a part of my history or my heritage, right?
Right.
So it's being spawned out of this these Spaniards bringing a virus to the of all things to the Aztec and Mayan people, and who already had advanced civilizations. It's like
Right.
someone discovering your wallet in your back pocket.
That you didn't know was there, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you knew it was there. They didn't know it was there. They were so amazed that they found this wallet with money. And you're like, yeah, motherfucker, that's mine. Then they
do
give you a flu after.
Yeah, exactly. Are your kids I'm sure because of your success are your kids raised with a little bit of tempering of your history or do you like try
Yeah.
to pull them away from that? Like
No, they
I'm
could.
talking about the rough stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. My kids are raised in the middle, so they have one foot in the culture, in low riding, tattooing. They see documentaries about Aztecas and all these things, and they trip out on their grandparents and like their hair. Then they're in a private school in Encino, you know, during the day with upper middle class kids.
Sure.
It's it's these two things. I mean, I think every one of Daddy's friends and everyone they see over has full sleeves and tattoos, and that's what they thought was normal. And then you go to school and you're like, wait a minute, everyone's kind of different. So yeah, they've had I think as good as a good education, and then we keep it real with them and have reality. They have old school manners. Yes, no, thank you. Yes, please. All that type of not too crazy, but you got to carry the good stuff over.
Do you think they still go through like, well, dad's got to be good monetarily wise, right? To go to school in Encino. But do you think they still go through like, oh, those are the brown kids?
Yeah, they're in the middle sometimes too because they're light skinned like me, but
Sure.
they still, have the features, and so they probably don't get accepted. And then, show me a school where there's not like a bully, or there's not but they have different type of bullying where it might be like
Right.
you have the old iPhone bully instead of some kid gonna punch you in the grill after school. You know what I mean? So it's we want them to be humble. We want them to be educated as good as possible. And I told them, like my daughters, you could be an educated Latina. You don't have to be from the hood, so to say. You know what I mean? You can appreciate your family and go visit your cousins and see what no AC looks like. You need to see that shit so you can be grateful. You can be humble. You know what I'm saying?
How does the wifey feel? Is she like in parallel lines with you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, she's the one that keeps them really grounded. Spends the most time with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try as much as possible. But fortunately, my wife has a level head, and we agreed like along the lines of how we want to do this. Try to play a lot of like old school soul in the pad. We love rap too. I like current stuff to the old school. So it's important that my kids know about old school rap and the foundation of it, and the birth of hip hop and what that even means. Popping, DJing, graffiti, all the
Yeah.
elements.
In a way, like having kids will keep you young too because they'll keep you in touch with music or whatever. Like even
Oh
with the
yeah.
fashion, like those tight jeans, we seen those. Watch Back to the Future.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't, they just didn't seem tight back then. They were just like fitted.
Right.
When NWA came out too, people were like, "Oh shit, they got baggy ass jeans." If you look at those pictures, shits look like skinny jeans. They just look baggy then, and then they got out of control. I seen a picture of myself the other day. I had like a 3X tall white T-shirt on, and from a certain way they chopped the picture, it just looks like I got a white dress on. It looks
That's
like
it.
fucking like I got like I'm a ghost or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so out of control. The white tee craze was so out of control in the early 2000s. It's funny when you look back at those pictures.
But do you feel we're gonna be biased, right? Did the '90s really, looking back, feel like a renaissance? Because between Michael Jordan, the music, the discovery of like there was a shift in clothing. Do you feel the '90s was really that dope, or was it just we're just being reminiscent of that time?
That's a good question. I think it was the reasons I think it was dope. It was before this technology. If you
Sure.
see someone on TV, like we seen Be Real on TV, we're like, that fool's on Saturday Night Live. That's hard to compare. I mean, that's Saturday Night Live. You know what I'm saying? But in other words, when we seen our homeboys on TV, it was a real big deal. They either were on the news for robbing somebody, or it was rare that they were actually entertainers. So now people can be stars overnight with this type of platform. You know what I mean? It's the '90s were so dope because they were innocent in the fact of technology, but raw in the fact.
Still analog.
Yeah, it was analog. It was dangerous, man. Everyone having cell phones, that shit made a world a safer place, man. Because fools. I'm sorry. Let me plug in this before it turns off, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, all good, bro. Dude, me,
No.
me and Esteban, this is no pressure or me hinting anything. We
Yeah.
spoke for an hour, 57 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Especially
He,
if you got, if you talking about this stuff, you can talking about our culture will go forever, bro.
yeah. But yeah, the junkies, they're excited about this interview.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, or are we taping or?
Yeah, we've been recording.
Okay, good. But yeah, the '90s were dope because the music was so hard. I mean, man, even those LL Cool J albums and Run DMC albums, and of course DJ Quick, and hearing those early NWA, those Rhodium mixtapes, and Toddy T and King T. Man, this was low riding was like so dangerous. You know what I mean? Fools were getting shot over the rims, killer Daytons. You know, you see someone rolling a 5.0 on Daytons, you're like, damn, that
Right.
fool's got heart. Like he's a down. He must be strapped.
I was trying to explain to my younger cousins that you cruise Hollywood, like let's say 90 to 92-ish, there's an understood risk already that
Hell
someone's going to
yeah.
fight, someone's going to fucking shoot up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just the guys on the sidelines, you know, MS is crawling out of the woodwork and the 18th Street's on the other side. And you're just there to cruise and check out, you know, and
Chicks.
yeah, check out the girls. You know, we're 20 years old out there in the back of sitting in the back bed of a mini truck. You know, my
Right.
older homeboy has the mini truck with the poke out wire wheels. Damn, man, I want to get one of those one day, you know.
But you know what's funny? Like my car, like I don't even like chrome. I don't even fuck with chrome. I murder my vehicle out now.
Yeah.
So I look back at chrome and I go, I think it's got to be like a vintage car. But if it's like 2010 and up, I chrome all my shit out. Or take out the chrome, I should say.
Yeah, like a brand new truck like a Silverado, I'll order it with the shit piano black already. I don't even want to see any chrome on it. But yeah, that's for the modern cars. I mean, today I was rolling a 92 Brougham Cadillac. So that that thing's like driving a waterbed. But it's just stock. I got it stock on 15-inch Zenith with the Vogue white wall. So it just rolls clean. It's just a survivor car. We got it off a Chinese couple that lived in Huntington Beach that had it garaged his whole life.
You didn't have to like take care of like sand or rust underneath because it's by the beach area?
No, because it was garage kept.
And you didn't have to adjust the shocks or anything just to slap on the 15s?
I didn't have to do anything to that.
Amazing.
Yeah, they went right up. Because a 15 you could still get at the dealership at that time. They were selling you a 15-inch wire on a Vogue. So I just wanted it like showroom style. I drive it like it was a daily driver.
Yeah, I got enamored with the Forerunners, like the third gen Forerunners. And it's interesting because it's almost like a sickly baby that you always have to care for every day. But dude, the compliments are like worth everything, you know?
Yeah, people like that old. Like I got a '96 SS Impala.
Oh,
People geek on those. You know what I mean? Like new 20-year-old kids, they don't know what the fuck that is. It's a cop car. I don't know what it is. You know. But if you knew that you could buy a big block muscle car, Chevy dealership, you know, just the D-boys had that shit. I was so envious, man. I wasn't like a hater towards them, my homeboys, but I was just like, fuck, man, they get that shit, you know? I got to devise a way to get that. You know, it took me 20 years and shit. I finally got one.
did audio factor for you? Like, because the expense of dressing the outside and inside, it's like, fuck. And then now, you know, I'm a little bit of an audiophile, so I always preferred like the tweeters separate.
Mm.
You know, did you in dressing your cars up?
Yeah, putting beat in your car is very important because it sets a whole vibe on the interior, and you're not just going to work. You're in a soundtrack. You know what I mean? You got the music knocking. So yeah, it's important. A lot of people don't do it anymore. You know, it takes a lot to. Everyone's got bills to pay. We got all this stuff. You know, like I'm still working. Like when you see me talking shit about the president and this and that, you know, like Cartoon got that shit. He's telling the truth about how he feels about everything. You know,
Right.
Like right now I still I maintain and. We're still out there working, dog. We still feel young. We still feel thirsty and hungry to do this shit. You know what I mean? And we don't try not to take anything for granted.
Did the documentary energize you, or was it already there? Like the energy to keep pushing?
Yeah. The doc, we didn't even know how that was going to do, to be honest with you. You know, we were just kept pushing. We didn't know when it was going to drop at this time, and then it was going to drop at this time. It ended up being perfect where everyone was home. for a sad reason. But regardless, people were home, so it did very well. But yeah, that helped. I mean, of course, that brings a lot of energy away. But we were already been on it.
Took 4 years, right? Or so.
But yeah, with the editing, probably the first meeting where you sit down and you discuss it, and goes by fast, bro. Like the
Right.
last year, you're really editing. You're doing a lot of changes, back and forth, back and forth.
Did you ever make it out there to Argentina with Marco and Esteban?
I didn't.
Okay.
No, he handled that part. But man, it'd be beautiful to go out there. But yeah, he got that handled, So we worked on it hours and hours and hours, man. Just people won't even know all the stuff it took just to make it. And we're sitting on a mountain of footage, so could have made 5 more episodes.
Right, and I feel like it could be like a docu-series like this Last Dance shit with Jordan, just even alone on the history of like the 310 and tagging, skating.
Yeah. You didn't even get into lowriding. We didn't get into tattoo world. I mean, we just barely scratched the surface. Yeah, just in graffiti alone, you can do just almost a whole doc on that, especially on automotive. We didn't get into pinstriping or gold leaf culture or candy car murals and all that, So there's a lot of people, I influenced, and there's a lot of people that I look up to, We all help each other some way, man, even if we don't know it.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's important just to keep going.
Is there a regional difference? How do I use this? Like New York's punk scene is like gutter punk. Like California is skater punk. Yeah. Was there a difference in graffiti between the West and the East Coast, do you think? Or if you can recall?
For sure. Yeah, graffiti in the East Coast, they had a head start, a big leap head start in front of us. But we had gang culture, so we kind of mixed ours with that to where ours looked more like Old English letters and wild styles, but they were hard Gothic styles. So we started to make our own look. And because of the weather out here, too, that gives us a little bit of a head start on certain things. And the East Coast created that look, of the bombing, the throw up, the wild style. And now, of course, with the internet, you go to Europe and see that shit's out of control. But we all have our own look now, and I think we all have respect for each other, too. I meet writers like a Futura 2000, damn, man. I know how to do that guy's signature. I've looked at it so many times,
Right. How do you feel? Well, I'll make a statement and then you react to it. Do you think, I feel like street art is a kissing cousin of graffiti, but some people feel like it's just art. It's not even graffiti. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it definitely started as vandalism. They're like you said, they're cousins, low riding and gang banging are kind of in the same community. It's your brother that has his shit maybe more together. He can get the low rider, it takes time to chrome the moldings and put the trim back on and polish your paint job. This guy's got, your brother may be an active gang member, selling dope, putting in work, doing that stuff. So, but both of them are going to be in the same car going to the boulevard, But then again, I've written my name, carved my name in a toilet somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And then I had my art in a contemporary art museum in France.
Dope.
Same shit, really. It's just who's looking at it. Everyone has their own opinion. It's an evolution though. Like where I was when I was writing fuck, carving the word fuck into some restaurant toilet wall. I've come a long way from there. You know what I mean? I've grown. I've read books. I've traveled the world. Had kids. I'm married. I'm in a different place today, but It's not far from that, bro.
Oh,
Still
okay.
like vandal graffiti is how my head works. That's what it is. Now I'm painting this canvas. I'm telling the story of my life. It's gonna go into this art show, and I want to be paid what I deserve, and that's as much as the market will bear. You know what I mean? I've done a bunch of shit for free over the years, for my friends, or even the word free doesn't apply because I got like notoriety out of that piece, or I got the guy worked on my car, or, I like to barter and shit.
Right. There's a yield beyond the purpose, you know. Do,
You got to do it for so many years before you get fucking known or paid. Countless hours by yourself in a fucking garage, in a fucking train yard or a fucking paint yard. You know what I mean? Just a parking lot somewhere you're painting inside of liquor stores, taking you all night. You get the glory when it's done and you drive by it, you can see it, and people are taking pictures in front of it. Hell yeah. That's your payment.
right. Yeah. In the doc, I was watching. I probably rewatched it like 5 times.
Dope, dope.
The critical part I feel was when you were training in karate. Do Do you feel if you don't train with that dude, you don't get these creative mental faculties? Because he's the guy that introduced you to the car candy paint culture, right?
Yeah, martial arts definitely impacted my life. I mean, I'm kind of on the thing saying no matter what would have happened, I would have strived to go wherever I wanted to go. You know what I mean? I'm an optimist. I'm a go-getter. I'm gonna do it no matter what. I just happen to go this way because of taking martial arts. I mean, those karate pictures are out of control. You know what I mean? It's just so funny, but it's the '80s. Like that's the way shit was. That's a portrait out of that time. And I thought everyone knew that candy paint and like kung fu went together. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like I thought that was natural because I seen all these guys doing it, and it ended up being something that changed me and gave me balance in life, and I learned respect at a young age about talking to a crowd. Like when I was a kid, I'll teach the class at the beginner class, and you show them how to get a horse stance, do a front ball kick, and yeah, okay,
like
that's right,
that.
it's going.
Yeah. I mean that pose with the crew, you know. But but but
Yeah, I mean,
but what I'm asking though, sir, is do you think you would have eventually gotten to that subgenre of candy paint? Because
I mean,
I think your master was the one who introduced you to that, right?
he definitely was, and I can't really say what it would have been like if I hadn't met him. Um, he was the candy man of Hawthorne, Vic LaRue, and he was going nuts painting every car candy brandy wine. I remember his helper saying, please paint another color because it was so popular, man. Candy paint, and fools had mini trucks and VW Bugs and Beetles, and man, their rides were slammed on Dayton's with candies on it. So it was just no, but it definitely it supercharged my vision on that, and I was able to just be submersed in it and be around it, where a lot of other kids might have not had that opportunity.
Yeah, I just interviewed a female brown belt. She's a no-gi with a practitioner with 10th Planet. And she
Mm.
was like, I'm not a maniac of martial arts, but that point in time will enhance my discipline. So that way, because I went all in here, I know I can go all in with if I go left, like what you said,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, they don't even teach that stuff anymore. I mean, it was like if you think about like in Kempo and these different styles of art forms, they were teaching like eye gouging and fucking you chop someone's throat with the windpipe this way. It was all like lethal shit in the fucking 1700s or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Before they had guns. But it's interesting to see guys use that shit in a bar. You know what I mean? Wing Chun fuck someone up in a bar.
Oh, that trapping.
It's all the trapping, man. And, Danny Inosanto was a big influence. We'd come by the dojo, and had the bally sticks and the knives, and that shit was so popular, man.
I'm actually in the moment mind blown because you're naming all the legends right now for the youngsters. You know, Dan Inosanto, Bruce Lee
Mhm.
student. Like this,
Yeah,
like our era was like eye poke, spit in their face, throw your keys so you can get in and get out.
yeah. It's just, I mean, now they're doing jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, which is
Dope.
probably the best formula you can have. But it's really interesting just to peek in, be there during that culture, man. Where the karate master, the black belt pulls up and he has a fucking naked broad airbrushed in the hood of his car with a fucking panther coming out of the water, and there's like faces and fools with Fu Manchus and the rocks. And I'm looking at that shit, and I look at the guy and he got a big tattoo on his arm. I was like, oh shit! Like you can drive around like that with naked
Right.
women on your car? Oh man! And then this guy could beat everyone's ass, you know. So it was even that crazier, you know. I was a sweet kid, man. You know, I wasn't like gonna go far in competition martial art, but I just dug it, man. I love the idea of fluidity and the lines and like you said, trapping and all that stuff reminded me of art. So it all seemed to coexist with each other. So it was just my weird story.
Was your master then, was he Asian?
He wasn't, but he
Not that it mattered. I was gonna.
no, it's just that well, who was Asian was the guy he introduced me that did all the murals, and his name was Ron Tess, and he was a different type of Asian. He was Indonesian Dutch,
Oh, okay,
so
Southeast Asian with that
yeah,
mix.
Asian but with green hazel eyes and
Mm,
tan as fuck, and you could see he had Popeye forearms, and he was a tunnel rat in Vietnam. So he's just one of the sickest black belts you ever want to meet. He's real little, man, but he's like you don't want to fight the guy, you know. He's just he was the mural guy.
right.
So here's again, like, damn, the mural guy is a black belt, and oh man, like all this shit just seemed like a movie, you know. And these guys were just the coolest guys on the planet to me. And that's what they did. They candied cars and they did karate and shit.
When you eventually went from spraying, drawing, like Lenny Kravitz talks about, like, when I'm using a guitar like this, but when I go to keys, my brain shifts. Did your brain shift from drawing, spraying, then eventually you got to skin? Was there a big change you had to adjust to?
Well, for sure. I mean, you you're going on the most sensitive canvas in the world. It's something you can't go take like a class in it or some shit. So, but I'm already starting to get tattoos. I'm in my early 20s. I'm getting sleeved, and I'm just hanging in that environment. And I'm like, oh shit, this is like art for fucking savages. You know what I mean? Like, you can still be a respectable gentleman and do this art. You know, it's like grown up art and shit.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, we were doing gold leaf on, say, a Harley tank, or every day would be kind of different. But I definitely had to submerge myself into tattooing to be able to understand it and to be able to try to master it.
Do you was there, did you encounter people with skin disease like psoriasis and you're like, oh, I can't, like, did you have
You
to
just
pass on
tattoo on.
clients?
I don't pass on them. I tattoo right over that shit. Burn victims. Yeah, you know, it's not.
Amputees would meet.
Sure, I've tattooed amputees. I've tattooed people that are have like um, uh,
God,
they have different, you know, where they have bone cerebral palsy, like forms of
right.
cerebral palsy. Uh, and I've people that have been they're I'm sorry, I'm forgetting all my words, but they're quadriplegics.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so they can't even feel it, but they can see it and they can kind of feel it because they remember before, you know, they were handicapped what it was like.
Tunes, I'm a little bit of a scumbag, so like if it was someone with cerebral palsy, it's like, oh no, I intentionally wanted to design a wave right there because they were
Yeah,
moving so much, like shit like that, like accidents. I'm
I
gonna get
mean,
fucking executed for this, but
you don't even know at that time. It's the fucking 90s with cerebral palsy. I mean, you don't know what psoriasis even is, bro. You know what I mean?
right, right.
You're just looking. Some guys, they work for the city. They're in the sun all day. They put lotion on their arm. And fucking 2 years, they don't drink a bottle of water. They only drink beer. Those guys have leather skin. They fucking bend the needle and shit. Get a Japanese girl. She fucking eats fish and water all day, and she has milky soft. This is one spectrum of the other. You know what I mean? So yeah, skin is just no two are the same, of course. And some are soft and milky and luxurious, and some are fucking shit.
Right. So are you strictly black ink? No colored?
No colors, black and gray only.
That's it. Okay.
It's all I have. So some of my friends are some of the best color tattooers in the world. Look, when
Share the
you
pie.
try to these guys, yeah, just go to my boy Nico Hurtado. You want a color portrait? It's outrageous, So it's better to let the specialists do their specialty.
Yeah, and a lot of people won't get this. There's a screening process because you worked with like hard dudes, like Muggs, Be Real. But when an R&B person comes in, or like Ryan Philippe, was there like a screening process where you're like, what the fuck are you? What do you want a tattoo for? What do you want? You're not. I come from this culture. Like
Yeah, well, if everyone had to qualify to have either done time or been a stand-up street motherfucker together, I'd be tattooing like 10 people a year, or maybe 4 people.
right.
Ryan, actually, I'd been watching his movies, and I like he was no gangster, but he's no punk either. You know what I mean? So you kind of trip out on these guys when you get to talk to them, and you're like, this guy's actually down. You know what I mean? Like, comes from a different world, but they see that tattoo style, and they're like, I gotta have that shit. You know what I mean? Am I gonna put something on him that gonna get him in trouble, or he's gonna? No, I'm gonna stick to his genre, but try to do it in black, powder gray, black and gray, do it my style. And you start blowing up Chicano art because it's going on an A-list celebrity now, who not from a gang or drug addict, or he's like a fucking, real actor that's doing this stuff. So it balances out when I've got to do, Lepke from Rebels Gang. That he's getting tattooed because he's the shit to talk to, and he don't have no money, but he's a fucking righteous street motherfucker. Anybody that's done time in a Southern California prison or Northern California prison knows this guy. So we'll tattoo that guy and then balance it out. And this guy, you get this, everyone in between, It's not all celebrities and gangsters. It's regular guys that save their money and want to come in and get their life story,
Yeah, because even like R&B folks took a while for them to get into that, because remember they were like the polished entertainers.
Now, Luther Vandross wouldn't have had no sleeve tattoo. If
Right.
I seen Cameo come out with him, I would have had a heart attack. But things are changing, man. They look at the ball players, man. You've never seen a professional Magic Johnson with a full sleeve. Like times are really changing, and it eases up a lot of people, especially get those corporate checks out of these companies. You know what I mean? That they see tattoos now. They're connected with hard work, focus, determination, red carpet. Oh, that's a nice tattoo. Those square lady telling me, you know what I mean? They're interested. There's tattoo reality shows now. Some could argue it waters everything down and fucking makes it uncool. Every lame can have one. but you know, it's just how you look at it. I that's true. A certain amount of that is true. But how the fuck are you gonna start a business with that type of mentality? You know what I mean? Like, man, there's enough cool gangsters in the world. These other people getting it. Hey, man, it eases it up. One of these tattooers, man, can actually buy a house. You know what I mean? Because these bunch of squares want to get tattoos. Well, fuck it, you know? Don't put no real gangster shit on them. They'll be all right.
Did it take a while for you to think about that business end, or were you already in that business end?
You know what? My art form has just always been like so lowbrow and the fucking gutter type, heroin addict, fucking strippers, and all that's connected to my art form. You know what I mean? So it's
Sure.
like it's always been on a ground level, underdog position, low riding, mud. You know what I mean? So anywhere you could get an hike is a stride forward for all the fellas that are doing life that will never get out, that are badass artists. This is for them. You know what I mean? That hey, some youngster might actually build a career off of an art form that was started in the streets of LA and jail system. You know?
Is there a style that you really admire but you don't want to fuck with? The same way, like you're into lowriders but you love Jeeps.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like is there like Samoan Polynesian culture? They have beautiful
Sure.
art. You know, is there an art that you wish not in a regret way, but like, man, I wish I had another lifetime to learn that shit.
Yeah, you can just admire stuff. Like if you look at the Samoan bodysuit, you know, the spiritual tattoos they get, they're really special, man. And to talk to those guys and hear the vibe behind it's even better. So I really admire that form and the Japanese, you know, the bodysuits of the Japanese culture. It take a lifetime to study that and the concepts behind it, and it's really heavy.
Right.
Those are
Oh,
my favorite.
well, you know, there's a few questions I asked Esteban, and I have to ask two out of the three right now, so that way it's kind of like to find what's in common. Like when since you're talking about the Japanese, for us spice trade people, if someone grabs a taco and Roy Choi does something to it, the Mexicans weren't as offended. You know, same thing with the Filipinos. If Indonesians grab this from us, cool. There had to be some sort of bad like feeling initially, or at least shock when you saw the Japanese with the fucking cholo culture. Because if I
Yeah,
were in your shoes, I'd be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing with this?" Because they
yeah,
go hard. If they get into psychobilly, punkabilly, the Japanese do it. If they're into hip hop, they think they're all DJ Crush. You know what I mean? But what was the shock like?
yeah. Your initial um, emotion is just shock and kind of like you get the
The
fuck, you
fuck?
know what I mean? Fuck that shit, you know. And then the more you start, like, I remember going to Japan my first time, and I walk into this spot, and there must be 1,000 lowriders there. I mean, it looked like New Year's Day, and I was like, what the fuck? And these homies are all sitting on the floor. And I was like, nah, Holmes, you don't sit on the floor, bro. I'm trying to help them, and like the Bloods are kicking with the Crips. It's like dress up in Halloween. And I'm just like, and my friend goes, hey, Holmes, you're going to go fucking crazy trying to correct all these motherfuckers. They don't know what the fuck you're talking about, first of all.
Right.
And then I just started to trip out that they were so honest about it and like so much respect for Chicano culture and like Mexican pride and all that shit that it didn't seem like they were thieving. You know what I mean? It just seemed like this was some other hood, the same way there's another hood in Texas or some shit that's outside of California, you know? But this is on the other side of the world, and they're not playing, homes. They're hopping a 63 rag, hitting fucking back bumper like ain't nothing. And that's in every city I would go over there. So years and years of that shit, you eventually you surrender. You either surrender or you are on the outs because It's going down whether you like it or not. They are doing this shit. And they started getting respect, man. They started going to Crenshaw. They started going to East LA. They started going to real hood, real boulevard, and lowrider.
And not get shot.
And not, but in the mix of that shit, there was shootings going down. They just weren't shooting at them, but they were there. They seen some gangsters. They would get robbed. All kinds of shit happened to them. But they just kept coming back. And they rescued the fucking industry, man. The Japanese came in with their finance and helped a lot of homeboys from LA, from California, period, open their own businesses and become restoration shops. And without the Japanese, we wouldn't even know what fully accessorized Rag and Paula's was about. They seen a couple LA fools do that shit. Let's use Southside Car Club as an example of the epitome of Rag Bel Airs and Impalas, with the most expensive accessories offered from GM at that period. These guys load them up. And the Japanese seen that and they were like, that's what we want to do. So they just went nuts and they bought all these accessories. And they really opened up the whole thing to where a lot of guys were able to do it. And they were able to go nuts on cars that they wouldn't have if it wasn't a briefcase full of money right there.
So there is a parallel between blacks and blaxploitation, but they would use kung fu moves. So eventually you guys, okay, I'm trying to understand, like, at least it was an homage point right away, kind of. Or am I incorrect?
They had a lot of respect.
Oh, that's good.
And they were coming around with paper, with bags of money, and they were giving a guy that would normally get 25 grand, they were giving him 50 grand for his car. So they were like, we protect these motherfuckers. I mean, they were protected, bro. You couldn't just go up and start punking them because they learned too, when they see a Japanese, the price goes up. So over time, they started hiring the homies to be the front man for the shop, and they would go and beat fools down for prices. And then, eventually, it would take me 2 hours to discuss just the Japanese influence on Chicano lowrider culture,
Yeah, I used to put out music, and our distributors would come from Japan and they'd wire the money even before the orders came. It's an interesting subculture, the Japanese, they're like honor based, and then it's almost like grab based. It's an interesting culture,
Yeah, things have changed a little more now. You can't get the loans you used to get over there. So
sure,
it calmed down a lot.
Sure,
that was the heydays in the 90s.
Hey, Tunes, can you honor me like 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm really appreciating this conversation. You used to also help stage design when you were on tour. How much of that was like inspiration of like metal bands like Eddie from Iron Maiden? When you would design that, or was it?
I mean, we were influenced by that type of stuff. Looking at album covers, the Zapp album covers were airbrushed, and crazy Led Zeppelin album covers, Pink Floyd, The Doors. These were all bands we looked up to. Cypress had that vision. DJ Muggs and Be Real had that whole vibe of, man, we're gonna make this shit like not just homeboys holding money and shit like that. We're gonna go deeper than that shit and go into, this weed fantasy, man, with the mushroom going out of the ground and all this wild imagery. They were thinking way out the normal box and thinking more of a global look and coming with that dark imagery that matched the music. So there would always be a little homie twist on that shit somewhere. But they would go nuts and they would ask me to do the stages on. I'll be like, hell yeah. I had never designed those stages before, but they asked me and I was like, yep, I could do that. Because I seen the other fools do that shit, but I'm like, well, they did it, I could do it. I just got to figure out how to do it. And same thing with storyboarding a music video, doing any of that stuff. I just said yeah, and I figured out how to do it.
And being on tour, was it a racial difference or maybe an economic difference between like hip hop, weed, no doubt, or Blink 182? I know that was more Esteban's side, but like they were more on powder. You know what I'm saying? Did you notice any party or celebration styles in different music genres, or was it
Yeah,
all
I
the
mean,
same?
it no, it goes from group to group. You know, like you go. Cypress would play with like almost dead concerts. You know what I mean? The Grateful Dead in Frisco. There would be these festivals, man, and you would definitely see psychedelics real deep and heavy with the flower. But then you go to say the East Coast or you go to some part of Europe or something. It's all about beer, these different beers, and we just started to learn about that stuff back then, and then some groups are pulling out the dark shit, you know. But Cypress wasn't about the dark drugs. Um,
Trying
it
to
was
get
all
lifted.
about weed and psychedelics at the best. So um, yeah, I think alcohol is probably the glue that keeps all that stuff together. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
That ain't
sure.
going nowhere.
Do you still indulge with liquor, or have you slowed down
Yeah,
because of
it's a
that?
rare occasion where I'll drink. Um, it's just not really my style, but I respect it.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, the one thing is, it's interesting how creatives. I could talk to someone else who does graph writing. One loves weed. One, hey, dude, I got to be sober and when I do this shit.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I've experimented with all of it. You know what I'm saying? I think my dad's not like a constant alcoholic, so I wasn't like that. You know what I mean? I can get faded, don't get it twisted, but it's not my like daily thing that I go to. The flower is more maintainable, and you can. But I've done alcohol campaigns where like they send you fucking pallets of that shit. You're like, stop sending me that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? But now, the main thing is that you want to get stuff done, you know. And if the flower helps you out and relaxes you and gives you some patience, and that's good, you know. It's getting in the way of your shit and you're missing deadlines. You probably shouldn't do that, you
I,
know.
I got to ask you something really personal to me. If Kobe Bryant was alive, he goes, Tunes, you can't fuck with the Clippers, bro. You can't. Is that something you oblige?
I mean, he would
Because it's
never tell me
business,
that.
right?
He would never tell me that because his friends get traded to different teams and he's still friends with them,
Sure.
you know. And he only time he would tell me that is if he had a check from the Lakers in his hand.
Right.
So that's when he would tell me that would be a different conversation, you know. But if he came back anything that he said, I'd be like, all right, cool, you know what I'm saying. But the time he did leave, the time he did live, he left a legacy, man. Everyone he shook their hand at felt like they knew that guy. You know what I mean? That's why you can look at him as a prime example of, be at your present moment and max out, be the best you can, and push that work ethic. I think everyone looked up to him, not only because he was taller than everyone, but he was his work ethic. People could just see it. It was glowing, man.
Well,
Real,
well,
real sad thing.
well. The reason why I asked this and to connect, someone featured as an LA original.
Mm,
Kobe is the other spectrum of an LA developed original. He's lived in Philly, Italy, but look like how he embraced LA and LA embraced him.
right.
It's important for me to pick your brain about him and his plight and what he did for LA, because an LA original talking about an accepted child.
For sure. I mean, he's a big influence on a lot of us. But that's the best thing about him is that he was the Lakers. So like working with him was working with the Lakers, And
Sure.
when the Clippers came, they came correct. They came with a cool vibe. They came with a great marketing plan. It was that of the underdog. It's we over me. They really came with like, let's be in a 64 rag instead of a jet plane, or it was a good approach that they had, and they were pushing LA a lot, and they wanted me to do all the black and white capsule of apparel. So, it couldn't have been a better situation with them. It really, really stepped up.
And you don't have to agree to this statement because I'm a diehard Laker fan.
Right.
Um, I just felt like there needed to be some currency, like being current with the Lakers, because it feels like they're still dancing to fucking Betty Boop and Paula Abdul and shit. And it was just interesting because it's one of those moves where the Clippers goes, huh? They hired Tunes. It's like it's like Anthony Bourdain research. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But
Yeah.
sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you got it.
Were you a Laker fan or?
I mean, you're raised in Los Angeles. You're gonna be a Laker fan to most of the people. Yeah, I mean, I grew up, but I wasn't such a hardcore fan to where like I had homeboys in there. They love teams from other states.
Sure.
I'm like, what's up with that shit, Holmes? What do you mean Pittsburgh is your favorite? You know what I mean? Like
Steelers.
Yeah, you grew up here, huh? So the Cowboys are Cowboy fans. Like they get real crazy. I'm not like that. That's cool. Like they want to hire me. I've done stuff for all the different universities. So I did the Trojans. That was an honor. But I also did all these other ones. So I do art for all sports teams. But I'm a Lakers fan and I'm a Clipper fan. I'm not sure if you're allowed to be both, Holmes, but
Right.
I love them both.
Right. No, I mean it's just maybe you're just a hoops fan of LA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
and I think but correct me if I'm wrong, but on this last campaign, a lot of my diehard Laker homeboys were giving the Clippers a pass. They were like, "Oh, I gotta fuck with them, man. I gotta fuck with them." Like, but they normally were just that they go so hard,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the uniform and not in the spirit of ball washing you, bro. I already respect you, and I'm
For sure.
giving you this conversation
Yeah.
because there's a lot of love. But I mean, you're using a vintage car. Let me just call it vintage.
Yeah.
And then you have that font, and it's just okay. You can't deny when a dope producer works with an MC you didn't think of to work with, right? So that's how the interpretation was.
It's a lot going up against the Lakers, bro. That is no easy task,
Yeah, definitely. We're getting close to wrapping up, and I appreciate your time.
Sure, man.
So for the positive spin, I don't want to dive into what made you and Esteban break up, but how did the mending and healing come into place?
Well, when you're friends with someone for 25 years, you're always going to be their friend. Like we're brothers, you know what I'm saying? So over that time, we have different loves. This was just our last one. You know what happened too, man? It was time to kick it with our families, with our children, you know what I mean? We went from the days of staying at the shop all night, partying, that type of environment, 50 homies kicking it. It just looked like a party all the time to where, like, once we seen the gentrification of downtown really taking flight, and when they started really getting rid of the artists that live there and all corporate situation, I started building. I had another property. I started building another studio. I'm very anal in that I want everything a certain way. I want all these ducks in a row. I want the studio set up, this and that. And when we were downtown, it was very hard to control that. A lot of people tried. And we didn't have our phone number listed, nothing. We tried to stay under the radar. and we still had 20 fools over there a day. And it's very difficult to get work done when a lot of people are hanging out. So I think we had did that for like 13 years, you know what I'm saying? It was time to like go. I didn't even know it was social distancing. It was, we just started isolating. You know, I isolated in my cave and I produced a bunch of projects, you know. Now we're still working on shit together. We're still
Right.
doing it. We just don't have that hub with 50 people kicking it.
Sure. It's just like progressing, you know?
It's our own private studios. Now everything kind of goes private. Dr. Dre got a studio, his own private studio. It doesn't, so I'm not comparing myself to him, but I do use him as an inspiration, as a guide on how to do certain shit, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, we're stronger definitely together, pushing forward, you know, got nothing but love for him. So it's great to show this in the movie and be honest and be like, look, when this place stopped, a lot of stuff changed. The party was kind of over the way we knew it. And now with this virus and all that type of stuff, we're having to relook at everything again on how we're going to approach running our businesses and doing all that. And, you know, shout out to everyone out there that's struggling or working and helping, man. We really appreciate it. You know, we just got to struggle all together. We're all going to take a hit together. You know what I'm saying? And we rise above. We push forward.
So lastly, you know the comedian Joe Coy?
Sure.
So with him, his rhythm is whatever I do with the love for Filipinos.
Right.
With this project, how much of it is you and Esteban as creative people who've been through so much shit? And how much of it is interspersed with for the Chicanos?
Yeah, I mean, it is Chicano art. I mean, that's the style that I do, and I give credit to that. And I'm you know, proud to be a part of a group of Chicano artists that are trying to raise it above. But it's just the way we draw, you know what I mean? What this movie was, too, is an introduction to people that have never heard of us. You know what I mean? People that, they don't know our style. They don't even know what Chicano art is. So we have to kind of explain everything from, I mean, we needed to go even deeper, of course, but you can only say so much in that amount of time. So we had to kind of touch on everything in this movie. So,
Dope, man.
yeah, hopefully there'll be more, and we'll be able to show our style and bring other Chicano artists or artists, period, just bringing them up.